The 49ers at the Minnesota Vikings. Vikings getting a huge home dub in this one. 23-17. Hell of a start to the season for the Minnesota Vikings. We'll start with them. Edge rusher Patrick Jones II. My man. I liked him coming out of the draft. 88.6 on the day. Center Garrett Bradbury, an 84.4. Blake Cashman, their linebacker, at an 80.9. Justin Jefferson at 79.8. Christian Darrisaw rounding it out at number 5 with a 78.1. Sam Darnold, a 69.5. Pretty nice there for him. San Francisco 49ers, their linebacker, Fred Warner, had one of the best games you'll see from a linebacker.
He was honestly the sole reason this game could have been a blowout.
Dude, he looked like Derek Brooks out there.
Yeah. If without Fred Warner, I think Minnesota wins this game by 17.
He was insane. 95.8 overall grade in this game. Just unbelievable. Best linebacker in the NFL, and he proved it again this past weekend. Cornerback Diamador Lenore, 81.8. Offensive tackle Trent Williams with an 80.5 at number 3. Nick Bosa at number 4, 78.5. Tight end George Kittle with a 78.3 at number 5. And then Brock Purdy, a 61.2 on the day. Dalton, what is your stat that told the story here from this one?
It's about Brian Flores blitzing Brock Purdy. And
Did you see the Purdy clip afterwards?
No. What is
Purdy literally goes up to it while they're doing, the handshakes and everything, midfield or whatever, and he goes up to Flores and he pats him on the shoulder and he goes, "That scheme is crazy, man." Yeah. And it was blowing up because I thought that was just very genuine from Brock Purdy, because he's his team lost, so he's obviously bummed, but he's smiling and laughing because he could not believe what he was seeing, and it's Brian Flores' defense at its best.
That's how the Vikings won this game last year too, right? And Brian Flores, not only is it crazy, it's crazy and not consistent week to week, and you don't know what you're going to get. So first of all, Brock Purdy versus the blitz. I got him at a 48.4 passing grade with 2 turnover-worthy plays. Okay, that's where this game was won, is as the game went on late in the game especially, Brian Flores just kept sending them, because that's what he does. He's a pressure type of defensive coordinator. But it was a little bit different than in the game last year. Last year's Vikings team, they ran a ton of zero. I mean, they sent 7 guys, all 6 and 7 guys, all of the time. I mean, you don't know which 7. You could have the entire defense line up on the line of scrimmage, and you don't know which ones are coming and not. This was a little bit different. It was blitz heavy, but it was light blitz heavy. I don't think, is that light heavyweight, like in boxing? I don't know. Anyway.
You're making up terms. I'm letting you roll with it.
I'm making up terms right now. But this year, he went more of zone blitz and 5-man rush and just making the Niners block one-on-one. And it wasn't awful up front, but there were enough moments where Purdy could feel it, right? It was really more, I don't think the Niners O-line was terrible in this game by any means. I think they had a decent game. Weren't as dominant as last week for sure, but Brock Purdy could feel it. He could feel that heat. But I also don't know that he read so well that it wasn't just constant zero blitz like last year, where you just had 7 guys coming and 4 in man coverage, and that's easy to see. This was much more zone blitz, dropping 6, kind of mixing it up, rotating some. Brian Flores, even though, because on the surface, he's going to blitz a lot. But the way he blitzed in this game was a hell of a lot different than it was in last year's game, because you already know, if you come out against Kyle Shanahan and even Brock Purdy with the same looks twice in a row, they're going to kill you. They're going to find a way, right? And Flores mixed up the looks, and it was really the difference in the game for this Viking defense.
Yeah, and my most disappointing was, just to piggyback off of that, it was Purdy in this game, but it was, you talk about the blitz and the pressure that Brock Purdy had to deal with. Purdy wasn't even seeing the field correctly when there wasn't any pressure. He had 3 turnover-worthy plays in this game, which was the second most in the league for this week. None of them were when he was pressured.
Yeah.
None. It was none of his 3 turnover-worthy plays.
Yeah. It was just him. If you watch him, there were plays in the pocket like those where he's in the pocket and it's almost ironically the old Sam Darnold seeing ghost thing. It's like he felt like he had to rush, but they weren't actually there. Flores just made him feel like he had to move fast.
Now, one of them,
incredible.
To be fair to Purdy, one of his turnover-worthy plays, he threw the ball and it slipped out of his hand. And technically that has to count as a turnover-worthy play because it ended up being a turnover-worthy play. But even the other 2, I watched them this morning, and he just, there's not really pressure around him. Not that the pocket is perfect, but it's not legit pressure, and he just throws it into danger both times because he wasn't expecting the defenders to be there. So that is there. Most impressive for me is Fred Warner.
Has to be.
Through 2 games, 95.8 defensive grade to lead all defensive players in the NFL. Just an absolute monster. And my stat that told the story in this one, Vikings offensive line, man. They are. We thought that this was a good group going into the season. They are proving to be one of the best offensive lines in the season. 80.4 overall grade this year, which is 4th highest in the NFL. 9th in the league in terms of pressures yielded before 3 seconds. So, understandable. The reason why we do that is because once you get past 3 seconds, it's like, okay, if you give up a pressure after 3 seconds, quarterback kind of has to get rid of the ball at that point. Like it's sort of a broken play. It's not exactly how you drew it up, as they say. So that Vikings offensive line, I think, is the stat that tells the story, because every week, including against a really good 49ers defensive line, they were up to the task. And as long as that offensive line is playing the way they are in run blocking and pass blocking, very clearly they can compete with anybody.
I'm going to match you up with that with my most disappointing, and then I'll go back to impressive. The 49ers run defense, and I mentioned to you in our 49ers preview that since Talanoa Hufanga got hurt last year, this run defense has not been the same. And in the interior, if you're going to attack this 49er defense anywhere, it's in the interior. Had a 52.9 team run defense grade this week, and their defensive tackles combined for a 38.1. I love Javon Hargrave and some of the guys they have in there, Malik Collins, but they lean towards the pass rush. They do. If you want to hit this Niner defense, you run right down the pipe on them. It showed in the second half of last year after Hufanga was out. It showed even against the Lions in the NFC title game. There was a part of that second half against the Lions where for some reason they stopped running the ball. You want to beat the Niners, you go right at them in the run game, preferably away from Bosa, because he's obviously really good and Warner's great on the second level. But those guys mask what has been a weakness lately for this Niner team in the middle. And then my most impressive, honestly, it won't show in that overall grade that we showed there for Sam Darnold.
Yeah, baby.
He's playing fantastic football. Let me tell you, his grade is dragged down a bit by a couple of plays. 2 fumbles. One where there was like a broken run play, actually, where the motion was mistimed, and he tried to toss it back to, I think it was Aaron Jones, and it ended up a fumble, and that kind of goes. Another one where he was scrambling, and he fumbled literally a foot before the sideline, and it went down as a fumble out of bounds. Those 2 plays are dragging the grade down. When I take those 2 out, his grade's actually an 83.3. Which against this defense and the way they played
really damn good.
After the game he had last week, Sam Darnold, you mentioned Kevin O'Connell. He is so comfortable right now between the pass protection, O'Connell's play calling. I kind of compare this to, it's almost like O'Connell's the point guard, and he's setting up a great shooter with open shots. He's given Darnold a lot of open shots right now, and he's hitting all his first reads are off the charts. They're hitting downfield. This isn't just Sam Darnold coming out here throwing screens. So far, a 91.2 passing grade on 10-plus yard throws through 2 games.
Extremely impressive.
4th in the NFL.
Yeah, extremely.
They're
impressive.
Throwing downfield, but everything is in sync. I've never, especially in New York, I've never seen Sam Darnold with this level of comfort and this level of just knowing, okay, get to the top of my drop. Here's my read. Here's my high-low, or here's my matchup, or just sometimes just throw it to Jefferson because that's what we do, and just do it. And just go. He's doing everything with conviction. If you take out those 2 fumbles, he played a spectacular football game again. And honestly, it feels early like we were dead wrong on the Vikings being so sure of the Vikings being in last place because of the way he's playing. And O'Connell is probably one of the 5 best play callers in the league.
No, he's one of the best head coaches in the NFL, and I think he's proving that this year. Certainly, but doing more with less, it felt like. But it feels even bad to say that because the roster is still talented, and they're just maximizing it, to be honest with you.